Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be organizing Dice Realms, designed by Tom Lehmann and published by Rio Grande Games. This copy of Dice Realms has no lid lift and is organized to get gameplay started as soon as possible. If you have any questions about what you see here, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow. Let's get started organizing Dice Realms. First off, we'll lift the lid, and inside you'll see that we have all of our paper components on this left side here. Our paper components are going to consist of our rulebook as well as our different reference sheets. Now the reference sheets here are going to have an overview of how you set up the tiles randomly, as well as recommended tile setups. You'll go ahead and fetch those different tiles based on how you want to play. And on the other side here, you'll have a reference that includes what the fate die does, your dice reassembly for the end of the game, and then the different lines and how you're going to be scoring, as well as how some examples of things will level up. And the rulebook is going to explain the game in its entirety with a nice reference for the round structure, as well as the different icons, the dice symbols, on the back. In addition, go ahead and turn to the second page here where it says Game Setup. This is going to help us with our next portion, the player components. There's a fixed amount of different resources you'll use for the different players. For example, you'll have 12 grain per player, 18 victory points per player, and 4 misery chips per player. You're actually going to store these components into the specific player bags, which we'll talk about in a second. On the right side here, you'll have those individual player bags, and they're going to contain the specific amount of grain, victory points, and negative points that were laid out in the rulebook. This way you're not having to count out different things. You just simply dump out a bag and put those amount of victory points, etc. in their appropriate areas in the center of the board. Just pass one of those to each player, dump them out in front of them, and they're ready to go. You could then allocate the appropriate starting grain, that player board, as well as your starting dice to the associated players. In addition to the other starting components, you'll need to include an upgrade tracker and a dice tool for each player. So you'll have 4 of these individual bags, toss one to each player when they're ready to start the game. And we'll move the rest of those player bags to the right there. Underneath those player components, you'll have a drawstring bag. This is to help you with that randomized setup that we talked about in the references earlier. And you can also go ahead and handpick and select a few based on how you want to set up your games. Just put all of those large tiles in here and put them in that bottom right corner. We've got a silica gel packet in here for freshness. In the upper right section here, you'll have a nice little round structured tile, your fate die that you'll need every single game, as well as the dice that you'll populate that people can purchase throughout the game, and then your 10 tokens that will mark the end of the round. Just put these on the side of the table and then populate the board appropriately. For the container, I've actually used a cutout from a different game. I like that it has no lid, but all of the player components keep it nice and snug. Nothing's going to go ahead and fly around. Whenever I get new games in the library, I make sure to keep things with nice wells like this. You can also just use a plastic bag, just put everything inside, then dump it near the center of your player area, and then only actually utilize what you need based on your player count. So that's everything on our right side here. Let's go ahead and talk about the included trays. Our first tray is what's referenced as the master tray. We'll lift that lid off like so, and inside you'll see that we have an assortment of dice faces as well as tokens. First off, we have the dice faces. These are separated based on their pip values, with our 1 pips at the top here, and then our 2s, and then our 4s. They're denoted by the little dots at the bottom here. The other symbology is based on the type of tile they are. For example, these are all green, so they're going to be all marked with that special hexagon on the bottom there. So you'll have your yellow, your orange, your gray, and your pink, as well as this green here. You'll have them for the different lines, going with 1s, 2s, and 4s. In this bottom section, you'll have extra faces for the fate die, extra destroyed faces for things break on your dice, and then reroll tokens, as well as set a die face tokens. You'll also have extra tools in case yours break for the players that are going to help with removing the different faces, and then you'll have these 4 tokens. Certain tiles that you play with in the game will populate the board with a certain amount of these, so make sure that you have them here and readily available. You have your weak tokens as well as your negative point tokens based on those different tiles that you're playing with. So that's everything in the master tray. You'll need this for every single game. These next 2 trays are just storage trays. Based on the tiles that you choose, you're going to go ahead and find the specific faces and then populate the board with them. For example, say you're using the Saboteur or the Matchmaker, they've got this white background, so you'll go ahead and find all of those in this tray and then populate the board with them. I won't go into each of these, but you'll make sure that each of these different dishes has a unique set of faces. So go ahead and put that near the board, take what you need, and then set it aside. This last storage tray is very similar to the white one, except each of the tiles will have specific lines that they go with. Cattle and pillage, if you flip them over, it'll tell you exactly what each of the different pieces of the line do. You'll go ahead and populate the board with these, and then set aside any that you're not using based on your setup. And that's everything inside the box for Dice Realms. Let's go ahead and pack it up. First off, we'll put our 2 storage trays and our master tray on this left side, our rule book and our references, Our extra container containing our 10 tokens, our round tracker, our fate die, and our buyable dice throughout the game. And remember, you can use a plastic bag instead of this if you'd like. And we'll just put that in the upper right corner. A silica gel packet for freshness, and then our tile bag in this bottom right. And we'll finish off with our 4 bags of player components, just drapes on this right side here. And that is organizing Dice Realms. If you have any questions about what you saw here, please let me know down in the comments below. How do you organize your copy of Dice Realms? Are you a fan of Tom Lehmann's other designs? What's your favorite face in Dice Realms? What do you think of the overall game system? We'd love to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching SideGame Strong.